All right. Well, welcome everybody. Today is Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. And this is the International Think Tank meeting for outreach. And we are going to start with the Bivens. And I'll pull it up. I'll share it. But if anybody would like to read it, that would be best. So do I have any volunteers? All right, don't be shy, guys. Who wants to read this?
I'll read it. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Sherry.
Okay.
Oh, it's Sherry, right?
Yeah, Sherry.
Okay,
All
thank
right. Okay, where are we? And I know I'm in the dark. This meeting is private. Bivens Declaration. This meeting is private. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. Anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including the territorial United States or municipal United States, anyone who is being paid or coerced to be here must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the premises. If they subsequently show up as federal witnesses, they are discredited for failure to disclose. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance in today's meeting that is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, city, county, or township agencies present? Is there any response to the Bivens decision? Is there any response to the Bivens decision? Twice. And is there any response to the Bivens decision for the third time?
All right, thank you so much. All right. Okay, and if you guys don't mind, I'm going to start us, with a prayer. All right. Almighty God, creator of everything, we come together as a beautifully diverse group, each bearing unique perspectives and backgrounds. Yet in this meeting, we are united by a shared purpose and vision. We earnestly pray for your grace to help us forge connections of harmony and to work together seamlessly. May our conversations be suffused with mutual respect, profound understanding, creativity, and boundless love. Let the spirit of unity be the guiding light of our interactions, empowering us to achieve our collective objectives. We express our heartfelt gratitude for the privilege of coming together in fellowship. And so be it. All right. So I'm just going to go over some old business. I think everybody on here probably is connected. If they have Telegram, they're connected through Telegram. If there isn't anybody that is not connected on the Telegram page and they want to, just put your name and your information in the chat, and I'll make sure to send you the link. And then we have the icedrive account. Has anybody not been able to get on that? All right, great. Kimberly, yes, go ahead.
I was just answering. Hi, good evening, first of all. Sorry, forgot my manners there. Lovely prayer, by the way. Thank you. I have not been able to get on, but that's in my own limitations. So I just wanted to let you know it's me and not you, but to let you know I have not been able to be on yet. So thank you. I yield.
All right.
May
Yeah, go ahead, Vicki.
Yeah, so the link you have on here is for the outreach folder on icedrive. Do you share the one for education somewhere else, or do you, because you can only see the outreach materials from this link. There's another link for the education materials that are being shared.
Oh, I guess I'm not familiar with that, Vicki. That's a problem. Is there any way that we can make it so that you don't need two separate links?
I don't know. Maybe Bart would know because he set it up, but I don't know.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping that we just, it's a one-stop shop, right? Like you get the link and then you can kind of scroll in there into the different folders. All right, I'm going to reach out to Bart and see if we can fix that. And if we can't, unify it and we need two separate links, then I'll make sure that I add that on the next, the next time. I'll share it out to everybody.
I'm here, Tammy.
Oh, hey, Bart.
Hey, so I didn't catch that first part. What's the issue?
So the link that I have on the agenda takes everybody to the outreach folder, and it doesn't give them access to the education folder. Is there a way to just combine them both?
We could do that. We can combine both folders. I think we originally separated it into two folders just to help people differentiate between the two. And we do have a link on Telegram for education. So I posted them a month ago. Let me go back here and search for it. I just posted them together, link.
Okay, but there's two separate links. There's one for outreach and one for education.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I didn't know that.
Okay.
So I will make sure that I specify that and I get that out to everybody so they have access to both.
And I'll repost it in the Telegram chat right now, just while you're talking. That way you guys will see it in the foremost of the thread.
Awesome. And maybe either Bart or Vicky, you can help me. I did upload, I wanted, I know, gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Why am I drawing a blank? On Illinois, why am I drawing a blank? Lucas, thank you, Lucas. You were asking about the, I think, Nickki Issac's handbook, and I uploaded it on there. Were you able to find it?
Yeah, I think it had some restrictions on it. So once you unlocked the folder, I could see it. But when I was in there initially, I couldn't see the folder that you were referring to. But it eventually popped up and I could download it.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, because I know when you said that to me, I went in there and didn't realize that. Yeah, I think it was set on private or something. I don't know.
Correct.
Okay, but now you have access to it. Did anybody else? Were you guys able to download that file as well?
Yes.
Okay, and did anybody get a chance to review it and kind of see if things in there were correct or any of that? I mean, it looks really helpful, actually.
Yeah. So, I see Rich has his hand up in Illinois. Rich, you want to go ahead and speak to that?
My mic's kind of touchy, so let me know if I'm breaking up. Yeah, I got a chance to look through it a bit, and it looks like she went through and compiled a lot of Anna's articles and other links by subject matter, like for driver's license, for taxes, for various other topic headings. And it does look like she did a pretty good job at it. I yield. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I skimmed through it as well. I didn't brush through it with a fine-tooth comb, but like I said, I agree with what Rich said. It seems like a really helpful handbook, specifically for people who are, looking for specific issues dealing with traffic tickets or CPS or something to that effect. Lucas, go ahead.
Yeah, we actually had a meeting regarding that handbook 2 weeks ago, and we're going to go through it. There'll probably be some stuff that we tweak up or remove or fix just because it doesn't apply to maybe people in Illinois, but we are going to go through it and kind of make it our own. And once we get a working document, we'll share that back out with the group.
Awesome. Perfect. And let me know when you have that ready, because I'll add you, if you want, I'll add you onto the agenda and you could, go through some of the stuff that Illinois found.
Yep, no problem. Thank you. I yield.
Thanks. All right. Anybody else have anything to say or comment on the icedrive account? Scotty, is that a hand up? Okay.
I do. I'm not on Telegram, and nor did I get the agenda for this week. Is there some other way I can get those icedrive links?
Yeah, I'll send it out in the email. When
Okay.
I send the recording out for this meeting tonight, I'll also send the links for those.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, Scotty, I'll post those to the chat right now.
All right.
Oh, thank you, Bart. That's helpful.
Okay, I've got it. I just found them.
All right. Okay. So, also, I want to say that if you are on here and your state hasn't been interviewed yet for the American States Assemblies podcast, please reach out to me. I would love to see all 50 of our states represented. I think we have 20, probably 20 states, because I've interviewed for the second time California and Kentucky. I just did. So I'd love to get all of our state assemblies on there. And if your state has already been interviewed once and it's been over a year, I'd love to have you back on as well. All right. Anybody have questions on that podcast? I just want to let everybody know I try to make it as simple as possible. And I know a lot of you who are on here tonight, I've already interviewed. Maybe you might want to say a few words about it. You know, what the experience was like for you, because I know that some people are apprehensive about being interviewed. And so I try to make it as easy and as stress-free as possible. So if anybody wants to comment on what your experience was like, you know, that might help. Aaron, on Georgia, do you guys, or Lucas? Go ahead, Lucas.
Yeah, so when we did Illinois' podcast with you, Tammy, and it was you and Michelle, it was I'd reached out to those in Illinois that in our assembly that to see if I could get any assistance, and everybody I think was just a little bit leery, and so I went ahead and jumped into it and did it as coordinator. But it was really a good feel, a lot of energy, just a chance to put a face to a name. That's the biggest thing right now. Is I hear like, well, who represents? Not that I'm saying that I'm at the top here. I mean, we know that, but it's like to put a face to a name, to an assembly, and then to tie that to the website that you guys might have, and then it really helped. And we've seen we have a website tracker that tracks hits. And after that podcast, I mean, it just went up and it continues to go up. And we do see the people that they continue to come in. I mean, last week we had over 100 people hit our website, which was crazy. So I think it helps. And we also have a link to the podcast on our website where it says meet the assembly or something. You click it and it just goes right to your podcast. So that's a way to get some exposure. And then we also went through and printed up a bunch of trifolds. We had a large printer order that went out. I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but we had 1,000 trifolds printed up, and I spent all of last week just mailing those out to all the assembly members who wanted them. So there's people marching in parades. We've got people out in full force, boots on the ground. So we're just trying to make some headway there on Illinois. So with that, I yield. It's a good thing if you can get on the podcast. So I yield.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucas. Anybody else want to give their 2 cents on what their experience was like? Go ahead, Karen.
Sure. Karen Sandler, Georgia coordinator. So I was pretty nervous before, and we had talked to you like, I guess, maybe it was a year before, and we kind of chickened out, and finally got 3 other people to come on with me. And the coordinator and outreach and the person that's putting together our website. And it was actually a lot of fun. And I think it was maybe more, it was something scary at first, but once we got into it, realized that it's just, you had the questions, we had the answers, and we went back and forth and went around to each person. So it was great. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for giving people feedback on that. So, you know, I know Sarah was a little nervous. She had emailed me a few times, and all of you did great. You couldn't tell that you were nervous at all. So hopefully that helps other people that are a little apprehensive because they don't like being in the spotlight. But I really do think, like Lucas said, it's going to help put a face to your state assembly and kind of make it real for people. So anyway, I hope that I hear from more people and get scheduled more of our states. So just reach out to me. If it could be anybody, by the way, not just your coordinator. It could be, I think one time we had a marshal at arms and a U.S. marshal, I think when we did Kentucky the first time. So any officers or any committee chairs, they can, get on the podcast if, the coordinators are too shy and don't want to. So, all right, moving on to new business. If you guys didn't hear, oh, well, first I'm going to introduce Kimberly Watley is the Outreach Committee Chair for Michigan. And I was chatting with Kimberly a week or so ago, and she was giving me some information on some of their ideas on how to help people kind of get their mindset out of the matrix and indoctrination. So I'm going to let her give us a little, brief description, and then perhaps, because they're still in the works and working on it, that perhaps in the next month, they'll want to come back and kind of give us a little bit more detailed. But Kimberly, would you just kind of speak and give us a little introduction on what you're working on?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I certainly enjoy talking to you about it and anybody else I get the opportunity to share it with. I actually want to go ahead and just clarify the record for a moment. Michigan Assembly, the Michigan Assembly right now is just coming back into its assembly process in our fourth version of the TMA. And we are still in active trying to figure out who's going to be in what roles. I'm acting in role of outreach right now, but I am not a chair on this as of this moment. So I just want to be very clear, just to be integral and honest with that, that this is something that I'm doing work both in outreach and with PKTF liaison work, and several other things, because we're very few, but we're building fast. And so I just want to be integral that we're still very young in this right now. So some of the things that we have been talking about in relation to outreach are how we can help to free people's minds. And what I mean by that is we have had this beautiful blessing of a process to be able to come and undo and correct our political statuses and claim our sovereignty in our living lives and so forth. But when we get here and we're still in that orientation process, we're still in the stun of what has gone on, and still very much in our active programs that have been put upon us. So what we started to look at, and I'm going to take a moment to just introduce Nicholas Keycheck is on the call with me tonight, and he has been one that has really allowed me to have a lot of process time in talking about this and helping me to sort of draw out more of what I've been thinking with it, and has brought bodies of work to this that are just genius in my opinion. And so I want to for sure make sure he has a lot of credit for this work. We are really putting it together right now, but what I can share is there is an active and spiritual warfare that is actually currently undergoing for us. So this is why when we run into people, well, we're not seeing you on the news. Why am I not hearing about this? And they don't know what has even happened to them. So if you don't know where you are, you don't have a capability to really govern well. And so some of this is to start to know thyself and to challenge people to a sacred sovereign living and stepping into your role and accepting responsibility for your life. And that comes with the undoing. As it is bound, as things are bound, so they must be unbound. It's going to have to be the undoing of you looking at your shadow selves, at looking at your programs, things that innately are triggers and so forth. And this is where Nicholas has been such a blessing, is I know these things exist, and then he comes and says, well, there's manuals written on this, there's archetypes, there's all of these things that already exist. they're playbooks, basically. And so what we're hoping to do is to try to help everyone come through more quickly the cognitive dissonances and the sort of trauma responses that are going to be going on, as we all have our wake ups and we learn what's really been going on. So it's to try to compassionately help people to recover more quickly so they can get into serving in GAs and assemblies and so forth and all the pillars, but to allow them to wake up a little bit more gently. And I think that what we found is if we can figure out how to get past the triggers of cognitive dissonance and even get 2 or 3 more seeds in the soil before they kind of go, and to tell them what that is, because a lot of times they don't even know cognitive dissonance is a thing. So to start to help people comprehend this is what's going on, it's very normal, but then to start to use the antidotes such as humor and realizing they're starting to slip and, catching the brain and stopping the neurological path from having them have a whole cascade of chemical process. So at that point, we've got all sorts of things like heart math. We've got remedies that we can teach them that holistic doctors have been bringing out for months and years and decades. And so these are all things that are in our hands. We just have to sort of take the time to bring these together and really just start to help people go through the process, recognize kindly if somebody triggers into something, and realize if they start to have a shadow engulfment or they act out, that they got triggered by something in their own programming, and teach them how they can face that without being in shame about it and realizing these are archetypal patterns that have been put upon us. They're not necessarily you being a terrible person. You got triggered. And so helping people to, look at their uglies, get through them, cast them off, and then get into their sovereign boots. And so that's kind of what we're working on right now. And it's a really exciting thing because, you do get to know yourself at this point. You do get to live more compassionately and living and, accept if somebody is having a bad day versus yelling at them. Realizing that, oh my gosh, they just triggered. How can we help them in this moment? Get them through it, not cause a whole bunch of cascade of bad throughout the whole field, and get on with building pillars, get on with, sacred living, get on with sovereign living, and, start to set this thing right more quickly, more lovingly, less traumatically. So that's sort of the approach that we're working on. And then all of the other wonderful things that we have, such as the jurisdictions and where are you, that becomes easier to comprehend. It becomes easier when they go home and they see the same news channels going, oh my gosh, I saw Mockingbird. I see it for the first time. I now know what this means. And I'm being fed a narrative. So this is what we're trying to do, is to wake people up as kindly and gently and welcome home as possible. And yeah, we all got done dirty and we're going to get through this. So that's what we're working on. And it's really kind of fun. And I want to say a particular thank you, Nicholas. You've been amazing in this. You've brought wonderful work, and I can't wait for you to bring more of it out. The one thing I will say on how important I know this is, Nicholas and I were involved in some of the breakdown of the last version of our assembly. Both of us were kicked out of that assembly. And this is a large reason why, because we brought this work forward and we're going to tell the people what had happened to them and start to give them the power to get out of it. And that was not allowed. So Nicholas got kicked out pretty fast. So he really did bring a body of work here that is really important. So I would definitely say stay tuned. We'll be happy to share as much as we can with it. But it's time to help our brothers and sisters wake up and do that in the most kind and loving way, because it's been hard enough as it is, and we just don't need any more trauma. We need more peace. We need more love. And that's what you get from a Woodstock baby. So here I am. Thank you very much. If you all have questions or any contributions, happy to hear from you. So thank you. I yield.
Kimberly, thank you so much for that, little introduction, the little teaser. I'm looking forward to Nicholas and Kimberly coming back and kind of giving us, a more detailed description of the work that they're doing with that. So thank you. Does anybody have questions for Kimberly or Nicholas? Nicholas, not to put you on the spot, but go ahead, Lucas.
So at the beginning, that's awesome work. But that we talked about the booklet that Nickki on Nevada had put together. I mean, to me, that seems like something that should be in like a new member orientation packet. And we would be very interested in adding that to this booklet so that I've just got my head going now on, that's something I would be advised probably to add to that. So we'll definitely reach out, and if you could keep in touch, we'd appreciate it. So I yield with that.
Absolutely. And that's sort of where this was birthed is I've been tasked to help with some of the orientation processes. So this is going to be the orientation we have 3 buckets of orientation that we're working on, and this is going to be the orientation that we'll work on for what we're referring to as newcomers ashore and people that are just making it out of the water and onto land and soil. And so forgive me, my lights are fritzing tonight, so I guess the universe is having me feedback here. So anyway, but yeah, that's what we're working on is relation to an orientation for basically helping bring new folks on shore. So thank you, and I will keep in touch.
Awesome. Thanks.
Great. Louise, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, that sounds awesome to me too, Kimberly. Are you all thinking about it, the format of it? Is it going to be video? Is it going to be a printed manual? How is it being delivered?
Right now, we are literally gathering things. Nicholas has given me wonderful resources, so I've actually been procuring those. Some of them have arrived today. This is how fresh I've known about some of this. We've had a few other things going on, so I've now finally gotten back to this task. So I'm starting to get those things together. I think it's going to start to actually become something that there'll probably be video modules or presentations that we can start to use some of the media that's already available to us. For example, when we want to introduce Operation Mockingbird, there's a fantastic video clip that basically starts you on the local news here and then goes into the Zoom format where it goes like this and you get to hear the same script. I mean, that right there is just so, if you don't get something in that, we got a whole nother level of something we got to find going on with you. And so, at that point, I mean that lovingly, but I mean, you may have something we got to figure out what's blocking you. So for that example, things like this, where we can already take things that not reinvent the wheel, get those things. So if any of y'all have any of that kind of stuff that's, exampling the spiritual warfare that is actually active upon us, so it can be turned around to somebody, those aha videos we all saw as we were waking up, if you've got any of those, let's bring those to center. I think that, maybe it would be best even, Tammy, and I don't know, and I certainly wouldn't want to take liberties, but with the icedrive for national, I mean, maybe there's a way we could load something like this into that file and literally make it accessible to draw down upon. I suspect they probably have more room on some of the servers that may be going there. I see Bart, please.
Oh, I wanted to, thank you. I want to interject. So I can't find how to raise my hand. So thank you for seeing that. I've been working on a presentation and I can send it to you if you're interested. It's a PowerPoint presentation and I divided it into, I talked about this I think 2 months ago, but it's 3 parts because we're planning on Oklahoma on having a fairly big meeting. Hopefully it'll be October, but I got sidetracked with some other stuff, had to go to work and things like that. So, so now I'm back at it, putting this presentation together. And it's divided into 3 main sections. One of them is what the American government is. The next one is what went wrong, which is 1865 to present day. And then what are we doing about it? Because we had a lot of people coming in and they're just deer in the headlights. And there's just so much information to give them. And me, I like to open the fire hydrant and just pour. And some people like that approach. Some people don't. So, but I like to give the full context because when I want what I want, and I want it as quickly as possible because we need help. I don't want to make it sound like to new people, oh, take a year and figure out what you want and then come back to us. Like I like to be pretty direct about it. We could use your help right now. So I try to get them up to speed as quickly as possible. And so if you're interested, I'll share what I've got so far. So I've got a rough version of part 1, it's 75 slides and it'll probably need to be shortened down. But then part 2 is what went wrong. And that, and sometimes it part of it, if you explain it well, I've learned, I mean, I've got some videos, a couple of very short clips from the Matrix that introduce some concepts and I have them in there. There's also one called Dinner with Andre. Remember that movie a while back? There's this part where he's talking about how New York is an experiment where the prisoners actually maintain the prison for themselves. And so I used a clip of that And it's really, they're really just icebreaker conversations at the beginning of that part 2 to help people get in the right frame of mind. Because then once they know, when you know the details of what went wrong, because the truth is very simple, it's the lie that's sophisticated. And so my job is not to, my approach is not to explain to them, these are all the details of the lie. It's to show them the great lengths that they took to present the lie and give them the basic overview. And one of the parts that's, I mean, we get people coming in all the time and, you know, they're like, well, we're part of the Republic of North Carolina, you know, or, you know, they're talking about that federal republic that was a member of the, you know, the Federal Republic that doesn't exist anymore. It did, but it doesn't anymore. And so there's little stuff like that, and people come in and they have these understandings, and you want to explain it to them. So I'm hoping to do it in the new members orientation, to tell them what the difference is between, because Oklahoma is different. We didn't start until 1907, so it's a different kind of a history. I don't think we ever had an incorporated state of Oklahoma owned and operated by you know, Oklahomans. So little stuff like that. But and then part 3 will just be our, you know, the state assemblies and what we're doing about it. And there was one point I wanted to make that I think is a good element to give to new people, because I've been attending, well, I haven't been attending. I'm always watching the coordinator training calls, and on occasion I hear, you know, some of the other assembly members and their issues with the de facto, right? And what I find is that a lot of people are hanging around, and they have this culture, which is ours, right? But I think it's a little top heavy. People come in and they want help with their litigation. And then what they're doing is they spend all their time looking through statutes and codes to figure out their problem. Because, I mean, I totally understand if you get a traffic ticket or your kids get kidnapped, whatever, it's serious, it's pressing, it needs to be solved right now, right? And so you have to go through that. Well, a lot of people think that that's their main thing, that when they come in the assemblies, that they come in order to get solutions to their de facto problems. And what I'm always thinking about is, how do I use this experience that we're having, and how do I incorporate it into the new members orientation so that people get the right mindset immediately whenever they come into the assembly. Hopefully they attend the new member orientation, because of course we can't require it of them, right? Because they're state nationals, it's their prerogative. But we try to make it attractive so that they come, and then we'll hopefully give them a ton of information. But the analogy that I've been thinking of is that, like, and I know we're not at war in a certain sense, we're at peace. But when it comes to functions and the way that you work as a team, I think a lot of people come in and they think that they're getting all these tools so that they can do it yourself, that they can go off and tackle their own problems individually. And they think that their status correction is the magic key. And that, I don't know how long that assumption lasts. It may last 6 months, it may last 5 minutes, but they eventually get a rude awakening that the status correction doesn't mean jack to the de facto people. So what I try to tell people is that when they come in, they're not coming in, we're not trying to equip them individually. You're correcting your status so that you can join the assembly. And so, you know, the caveat, of course, we're not at war, but I like to say it's kind of like the Navy or a boat, a ship. When you come onto a ship, you become part of that group, and everybody has a role within that group in order to achieve a common agenda. But nobody on the boat actually has a rifle. Everybody on the boat has a role. It's a top-down structure, so it really doesn't apply to the land. But the point is, it's your assembly, and especially your jural assembly, which is the most powerful and the most important, at least for the time being. I keep telling everybody it's our number one goal. The number one project before all other pillars is the jural assembly, because it provides relief for everybody. But I thought that could be a central part to our outreach, that whenever we come in and we introduce them, we give them, the format I'm going for is what is the American government? What went wrong? What are we doing about it? But in that what are we doing about it section, I think I'm going to focus on, your goal is to contribute to the Oklahoma Assembly, in our case, so that you can stand up your jural assembly, so that you can, once you have that jural assembly stood up, you can actually walk around and exercise your rights with impunity. Because right now you can't, and people are like, well, does that mean the status correction isn't working? And I would say, no, it means that you status correct so that you can participate in your state assembly, so that you can provide a Republican form of government for your fellow state nationals. That's why we're here. And hopefully that'll get people more involved more quickly. But I yield. I wanted to offer my material to you, Kimberly. I can give that to you. And okay, I yield. So
Thank you, Bart. And Louise has her hand up. Go ahead, Louise.
I just want to mention this as you all are giving me your ideas, I'm thinking about how they're fitting in that project. So that's why I'll be asking these questions. One part of the project is our 1776union.tv platform that we're going to be working on. All these, what I want to say, all your ideas about putting together the video thing that you have and Kim's thing there, I can see how it fits in the TV program platform. And I'm wondering if when y'all do it, can y'all put it on the icedrive and it'll be there for us to start filling in our TV platform with all that information. So as y'all do it, think about, okay, this is going to be presented on our TV platform. So put a quality thing together like that. And if it goes on the icedrive, I'm assuming we can use it.
oh, absolutely. icedrive, it's free game. If it's on there, anybody can have it. Except, of course, if you're like me and you posted something that wasn't supposed to be there. That happened. Don't do that.
All right, Kimberly, go ahead. I'm sorry. Well, Louise, did you yield?
I yield. I'm trying to lower my hand.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Kimberly.
Thank you. I really appreciate the feedback and the enthusiasm. And yes, Bart, would love to get together because I really think that this is, we all have our individual work on our states, but there's going to be so much of it that's just the message. And so I think that being able to have so many of us being able to compile this, it will come together really nicely. And I certainly agree, Louise, that, some of the thoughts that I'm having with this are, getting this and loading into your project with regard to, how do we get radio and how do we get podcasts and how do we, do that sort of stuff to, get that collective body coming. So the history is also written and isn't lost. And so I definitely am looking to that. One of the things that we've got several things that we're doing with regard to outreach, but one of the things that we're working on, and I find seems to be really fun, is that instead of, definitely letting people know that things like joining GA are their duty, but to making it really fun and, just really kind of digging deep and what do you love? What do you want to do? I mean, my gosh, you get to come in here and choose exactly what you want. We're not giving you a job description. You can write your job description. My gosh, if you'll do anything, just get over here. We need you. And that enthusiasm is just really, it's magnetic. People, when they get that appreciation, I mean, who of us doesn't love to, be doing your bliss and then having people recognize that? And I don't mean that in an egoic way, but I mean, that's what fires us up. That's part of being men and women alive, that we empower each other that way. We charge each other up, and that's what gets us shining and going. So, I think that sometimes it's just how we craft our language, in addition to how they've, used rhetoric against us and semantic deceits and things of this sort. We just have to undo those with, focusing on where we want to go with it and using language. So again, what we're saying with the ship, we're really trying hard, like with our orientation. None of us like the term orientation. It feels icky. So we're trailblazing, man. And I looked it up, and then you go look at the definitions. We're leaving blazes, baby. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're on land and soil. We're playing on the ball field. We got pick up a mitt and play. I mean, we've got great analogies that we're pulling out, trying to get our language aligned with who we are living and what we're doing. So we got to reclaim our language. We've got to reclaim our terms and get our heads back on land and soil. I mean, we're wobbly for getting off of the boat. Our legs are still shaky. I mean, it's a little bit of a transition. So, that's the fun of all this. And I think if we try to keep it playful, we try to keep that up. Again, when we start getting into the chemistry of the body, I mean, you get into gratitude, you get into joy. These things actually, when you hold them, I mean, gratitude, for example, look this up on Heart Math Institute. You hold a position and a feeling of gratitude in you for 30 seconds, you've got 6 to 8 hours of endorphins that just got released into your body. You now have your happy and your feel good and your pain control, your body's doing it for itself. So these are the kind of things that, we can empower people with as playful and, pull them along, keep going and, keep the eye on the horizon. Don't get commiserating. Don't get back here in the mucky stuff. And that's just the joy of it. And as I keep trying to say to people when they're caught in their stories, we crossed the line. We're free. We did it. We are actually free. My mom and dad weren't free. I got to be free. And so we are meeting a moment in this world that is just, it's incredible. And I just tingle all the time with it because who would have known a few years ago I was going to be sitting here talking to you all and just being in a revival of, oh my goodness, we're here. And we get to be a part of it and do it. So for me, it's just contagious. I hardly sleep because of this. So I just, I love it. And I just want it to be something that everybody else loves. And, that we do it fun. We do it humorously. We do it, the way that we're meant to be down here in joy and bliss. And so I just want to, pull everyone across the line, love them across the way, and let's get this thing done because Lord, I'm tired of this other stuff. I'm just tired of it. And so I do declare I'm done and we're going to do it right now. So with that, I yield. Thanks for the time. I'm sorry to take so much time, Louise. Love y'all. Thank you.
Kimberly, I love that energy. And I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you right now. So thank you for that. That's why I love getting on here once a month with all of you. It's really a blessing. And so, and I'm grateful for every single one of you. I do want to go on to the next topic. So David Gall, who is the Marshal at Arms on California, on the last coordinator training call, put out a suggestion of an outreach initiative that he would like to do. I'm going to play the clip from the coordinator training call. I'm going to share my screen and play that just so you can hear it from him. Let me see how I can. All right.
Volunteers that wanted to run it. So thank you, Jason. All right, Dawn and Rosie, I'm King.
Thank you, Michelle. I have a question for David.
Is it playing, Tammy?
Questions listed, or how does it work? If it keeps going, it'll be different questions with different answers come up at different times. That would be too complicated. I yield.
Yeah, it works a lot like what's going on right here tonight, where people have their question and you get your information from a pool of people that are on the call. And if they don't have an answer, then they just hold off until the next week and come back with the answer. So on every call, it's going to be a large enough area of people in that time zone that they can, have enough people on the call to help answer the information that they have. There's a lot of talent in this country in these coordinators and in people that are on these calls, and not everybody speaks, but they have the answer. And you'll be surprised at the amount of information that people have. And if you can, have somebody on the call, and we've got somebody in California that's really good. Susan James, I don't know if she's still on the call tonight, but she's really good at pulling up Anna's articles on the fly. And somebody has a question, and within about 45 seconds, Susan's got the answer on an article, and she's ready to read from the article. Every time zone needs to have somebody like that, or two people like that on that call, who can be that resource of directly quoting from Anna's article. And all the other stuff you're going to find out pretty quickly. There's about 200 questions, I would say, that are pretty common questions that every single assembly, every single coordinator has to have down pat, because they're the same question in every single state and every single assembly. There's about 200 questions that need to be down pat. Beyond that is where you get into the idiosyncrasies, where people have specific questions that are specific to them. And that's where you have to have people that can really drill down on stuff. And you might not have the answer. It might have to, be carried over, or they might have to ask that same question 2 hours later in the next time zone. And they can go on. Say if you're let's just give an example. Say you're in Colorado, but you want to go on to the call at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the afternoon in New York. Well, go on that call. And then in 4 hours or 3 or 4 hours, it'll be on the Colorado time zone. You can still be on that call. And you can stay on that call till it goes to California or till you go to bed. So, you just stay on that call and you can listen to it and go about doing your things and just listen and learn, because it's a fantastic forum. And that's something that I think everybody should take advantage of. And write down your question. Everybody should have questions. Everybody should be doing this to learn. And it's super dynamic. And you're going to find out that there are some people that have a wealth of information. And very few people have read all of Anna's articles, but some of us have. And so, being able to go back and pick up articles is super important.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. I think I missed the part where he explained it in the beginning. I think I went too far, but the purpose is that he was offering up for us to do a town hall call where every 2 hours there's a different time zone, and people in that time zone can get on that call and answer questions. Louise, maybe you have some more information you want to add about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so when Dave came up with this idea and presented it, I had another idea similar to his, but it's like a match to his, a complement to his. So my idea was to have a forum, a 24-hour forum platform with questions and answers. He wants to have a 24-hour conference call for people to come and ask their questions and get answers. But we have to log those answers and those questions and answers somewhere. So I saw how we can fit those two things together. So that's the idea right now. We're going to meet together sometime after September 15th to kind of go through some logistics to see how we can develop that. And that's another thing that'll go on our web TV.
Yeah. And do you yield?
I yield.
I don't want to cut you off. Okay. And I will add that I think he's planning to come on our next meeting in October and give us a full description when he and Louise are going to be working out the details. And he's going to come on next month, I believe, to present that. Kimberly, go ahead.
Thank you. Picking up on this idea, one of the things that I was trying a bit of an experiment with recently is I had the idea similarly that we have to have a forum to be able to speak. And so came up with the idea, well, I would love to be able to have just a 24-hour forum that, you can just come on in and, if somebody happened to be there, you guys can just talk and, enjoy the whole process, not be recorded, and not even really have anything that was prompting. It was just, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Is anybody up? And log in and so forth and, just talk out, whatever. And so I had actually referred to it as the come on in room. And it's basically taking the play on common and basically hyphenating abbreviating it. So come on in, and it's INN, because when you train with common law, you train in ins, INNs. So I figured come on in would be a cute way with a little, emoji with a little hat on, kind of deal, and just make it very friendly. So I tried it last week through Zoom, and I went ahead and I scheduled this out, and basically made it a 24-hour meeting, and just let it that no, you could just be admitted, you just logged in. And I had one time that I was able to catch somebody that came into it, but it really is something that I wasn't going to want to babysit. I told everybody, I'm just going to turn it on and see if I can supply this. And it seemed like I need to get with Zoom, because I think about the 2-hour mark, it just sort of cut off. So there's nothing in it. It just closed down. But otherwise, it sat there for a good 2 hours. So if we could figure out the end around, if y'all have Zoom, we may be able to try it even for our own assemblies, and, a group of, just practicing with, and see if we can maybe use a format that is working for us, just for no other reason to have a means of communication. Certainly not to take over what is being offered, going cross country and having more of a forum to talk and ask questions. But I definitely would support that. But I think that we have another layer that could exist here, just in something we already naturally have and are doing calls on anyway. So maybe it's an option we can get to work. Maybe it needs a dedicated server. Not entirely sure, but just an option that, again, if we're already paying for the service, maybe we could turn it on. So that's all. I yield. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, go ahead, Bart.
I had an idea based on what Kimberly was saying. It's peripheral to it. And I've already seen some efforts on that on Mop and Bucket on the Rumble channel. That's been really helpful, because I see little topics. They'll have little 30-second videos. It could be a 5-minute video, it could be 30 minutes, whatever the subject matter is. And they're usually selected out of those coordinator training calls and calls with Nickki, calls with you, Tammy, just little bits and pieces. And they're arranged by subject, right? And I think we need lots more of those. And I think that whatever discussions we have on David's idea for this new, because it'll be probably, who knows how long that meeting will go. Maybe it'll go 12 hours or all day. There's going to be a lot of material. So I've noticed that, because I'm thinking about speed. I'll give you an example. I got my professional engineering license, I think it was 10 years ago. And I've since retired it because it's become a liability now. But when I had it, when I got the test, that was the longest test I've ever taken. It was an 8-hour test, and they allowed you, as open book. So they allowed you to bring in all your materials. So the name of the game was not to have things memorized. The name of the game was to know how to look stuff up. And I had it easy. I was mechanical, but you had these petroleum engineers and civil engineers, and they would come in with dollies that were full of 4-foot stacks of books. And you would look at their books, and they would have all these little tabs, and so the name, you saw the question on the test, you're like, I know where that book is. And you would go over here and you'd open up and you'd thumb through it to the tab that you had. That's it. And then you would feverishly put down your solution and then move on to the next. But it was all about where to find the information as quickly as possible. And that is a challenge here on the land, because there's a ton of information and you don't know where to go. And so a lot of people spend their time drilling down, trying to find an answer on something. And unfortunately, they'll get the answer, right? But unfortunately, it's already been done 20 times by people across the land, but nobody's been indexing it. Nobody's been indexing their little drill down holes where they found the solution to that. So I think it would be good for video content, but also for what you were talking about, Louise, like finding the answers. Like, how they have, we have it. We see it all the time on these different platforms. Somebody puts a question on there, and then it says, click here for the solution, because then one of the accounts will give the solution and everybody will vote on it. This one got 56 votes because everybody liked this answer. That would be great if we had something like that. Or if we had videos that were, because I don't have time to do it. I'm too busy working on educational material. But
Hey, Bart.
Yeah.
Can I just interject here, because you're actually touching on a topic that's the next item on the new business.
Okay, I yield. That's really all I wanted to say. So I'm glad.
Yeah, because I think a lot of us feel the same as you, where there's so much information. It would be great if somebody actually organized it on subject matter, whether it's video or Anna's articles. And so I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to share, see if I can find this. There we go. All right. I screenshot an email that I got from Timothy Franklin White. This is on Colorado. And he says, howdy y'all, I just completed categorization of more than 500 of the articles from Anna's site. He's got a link here. And I haven't been able to, I haven't had the time to click on it. But anyway, it's the vast majority of the PDF files also include highlights of things that jumped out at me from my reading. So it looks like we've got people that are already doing this. And so this is the purpose of, these meetings, is because why should each of our states be trying to recreate the wheel if somebody else has already done it? So if we could, share resources, if somebody's already taken the time to do this, this is amazing. So I'm going to ask permission. He's been sharing it with me, I'm assuming because he wanted to, share this with others. So I'm going to reach out to, or if there's anybody on the Colorado Assembly that knows Timothy Franklin White and would like to speak on it, that would be great. Otherwise, I'm going to wait for his, get his blessings in order to share this with everybody.
You do get his permission, you could put it on the icedrive education channel folder.
Correct. I'm gonna ask his permission first and see.
Of course.
And then go ahead, Kimberly.
Thank you. In the same vein, I wanted to also bring forward Richard Cerrone on Michigan. Here is our education and archives recordist, and he was one of our original from our TMA1. He has helped bring this thing all the way forward, so I'm so glad he gets to see some fruition. But he has just undertaken an enormous task. He was actually tasked with going into Anna's articles and numbering them and dating them. And so he has actually just finished a glossary that has actually been uploaded and incorporated with Anna's website. So if you visit there in the near future, there's a new button called glossary, and you can go in and you can type any term and it will give you all the articles, webinars, podcasts, all of the different topics that he has been able to execute with this. He has gone through all 5,000 articles at this point, and so he's been working for years on this. So he has finally been able to have a success and turn that over. So he gives the glossary away for free. I will make sure that he gets in touch with you, Tammy, because I'm sure he will be tickled to be able to make this offering. And as I said, it's already been in the works and integrated into Anna's website that way. So Richard Cerrone, well done, my friend. You really did a great service to us all, and I certainly thank him, and I will make sure he gets that available for everyone because I know he is just dying to share it. So I'll make sure it's there. Thank you. I yield.
Awesome. Thank you for that. It's good to know that we have so many people that are trying to get things organized for us and making it easier to access the information that we need. All right. Does anybody have any questions on what we talked about with new business? Because I'm going to hand the rest of this over to Louise. She's got a lot to cover with the project. And Louise, you want to, I'm going to stop sharing. Sorry here. Okay. And Louise, I'm going to assume that you're going to share your screen for the agenda and what you're going to review. And you're going to keep going with your presentation. And do you want to accept questions as we're going along, or do you want to wait to the end?
So this is what I like to do. Take questions at the end, for one thing, because we're at 8:30. But this is what I need. Let me share my screen here real quick. Y'all see my screen? I don't know how to get rid of this thing.
Yep.
So since I'm going to try to get through everything, because this presentation is over the launch overview, how everything is going to fit together and what everything looks like. So what I need from you all is for you all to look at this critically. I want some critiques, some suggestions, some criticisms, because this is what we're going to be in pre-launch phase at this point. So write down your questions, suggestions and everything. If we don't get to those today in this meeting, I want you all to email them to me. Okay, sorry, I gotta plug my thing up. All right, so here we go. Does everybody have this in your, did you all download this, or do I need to put it in the chat? Okay.
I haven't downloaded this. I'm just looking at your screen.
Okay.
Louise, I would add it to the, or if you want me to, I can add it to the screen as well.
Yeah, go ahead and add it for me, Tammy.
Okay.
Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is this piece of clip that Anna did. I'm hearing the criticisms and everything, and I want to play this clip because this encapsulates where my vision is coming from. So listen to this a little bit and listen to the question and her answer.
Baby Jane, I don't know if I'm reading that correctly. Are the Moors supposed to help restore the government? I have been hearing this, and that is why they are joining the assemblies and causing division.
Well, here's the deal. Way back at the very beginning of the country, even though we won the War of Independence, we were having trouble being recognized by other countries as the government. And this was sometimes because those countries had a very different form of government, or because they were loyal to King George and friends with him, and they didn't want to make nice with us. You know, there were all sorts of politics involved. But the Kingdom of Morocco stood up and said, we'll recognize the Americans. And the King of Morocco got a special deal. For his people, they would always have a special standing in America to be able to come here and visit and you know, be treated as Americans because they were the first country to internationally recognize us. So there's an actual treaty to that effect, that the Moors have this special standing as a gesture of friendship to the Kingdom of Morocco for recognizing our new government.
That's where I see us at. I see that our standing does not equal recognition. And I think that's why our nationals are out there being bombarded and threatened and everything by the de facto. It's because we're not recognized as who we are. So what I want to do with this whole project is earn that recognition. And so when people are telling me little things about, well, don't do this, or, you know, we're going to stand and that's all we're going to do. That's not all we have to do. We have to do more than stand our pillars. And that's the message that Anna said right there. We're back in 1776 where we've reconvened our civil government, but we're not recognized. So I'm trying to think of strategies to get us from standing to recognition. So that was my first point on that. The next thing, so we can move on. Last meeting, you all requested us to me to have that flag and United States redone to try to match our civil flag. What do you all think? I want us as a think tank to vote on if we want to make that United States symbol right here our trademark for the think tank. So whenever we put out something, it'll have this United States on it.
May I?
Yes.
I like this. I think that the way I look at as far as emblems go, I look at the TASA think tank as being just a tool. We're getting together practically to work out all the details, but the thing we're putting forward to the public would be a symbol like this. So I'm not really too concerned. Hopefully I'm interpreting your question correctly, but I'm not too concerned about the recognition of the TASA think tank group, but I am very interested in the recognition of this web page that you're talking about. And I like that symbol. I don't have any other options to compare to, but I do like it. I like the background. I like the American, collection, land, and I like the civil peacetime flag. I think it's well put together. It's easily recognizable. I yield.
Okay. All right, so we don't have to vote on anything or choose anything for a trademark for us. Y'all think about it, send me an email, or we can talk about it after the session. But that was that idea. So moving on to the next thing.
Oh, Louise, I do have a clarifying question. So whenever I think about TASA, it's the American State Assemblies, right? And whenever I was brand new to this, that was a hard thing for me to figure out. I was like, what is the American State Assemblies? And I even made a video about this because I described the instrumentalities, right? There's the United States, the Federation of States, the Confederation of States. But then a lot of people, okay, well, I see what all that is, but what's the American State Assemblies? And the answer that I came up with, it's an informal name for all of those state assemblies that relate with one another according to the different instrumentalities, right? But if you're going to just refer to the American State Assemblies without regard to a capacity, right? We're not talking specifically national soil. We're not talking specifically international soil. We're not talking confederation. Just what are they? And what is this website? And that's what I'd say. That's what the American State Assemblies is. So how are you going to make sure that your 1776 union is directly and synonymously associated with the American States Assemblies? How are we going to make sure that there's no confusion so that people don't look at the 1776 union? Oh, that's a different group, and then other people, no, it's part of the American States Assemblies. How do we put that to rest immediately when they go to the website and they're like, oh, we know what this is,
Tammy, you want to address that?
No, I had something else.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the answer to that one is we're not the American State Assemblies. We are nationals, just a group of nationals coming together to help develop the platform or the communication between other nationals of how we want our government to look. We're the think tank. We're not the American States Assembly. Everybody here is just coming together from their assemblies, but we're not representing our assemblies per se. So that United States was supposed to represent us as American state nationals coming together to communicate how we want our government to look. And
okay, I don't really know the difference, because whenever I look at our group, I look at it exactly the way you look at it, but I would say we are the American States Assemblies. We are a bunch of state nationals that are and the reason why I think it's important is because a lot of people come around and they say, I'm an American state national, and I may get along with them. I say, oh, okay, so that means you're part of my state assembly. They're like, no, I don't know what that is. And there's people that are joining the Telegram groups, and I almost booted a guy off because I didn't think he was helpful to the group. And he's like, no, please keep me. Don't let me. I was like, and he was really honest with it. And he removed controversy, which is important for me. And he said, listen, I think we can help each other out. And so I thought, well, okay, stick around, man. And he's been really helpful, but he's definitely not associated with the American State Assemblies. And so whenever I say things like, you need to join your state assembly, or you need to join your jural assembly, they look at me like I'm a deer in the headlights, and they're like, I don't need that. I'm just an American state national. And I want to tell them, you're kind of missing the point. There is no state national without your local state assembly. Who's going to enforce your rights? And so I wanted to, I guess I don't see the difference between the 1776 Union, that website. Mm-hmm. I view it as being directly connected with the any state. And what I say is, because there are other groups out there, right? But we're the only ones that have been summoned into session by the fiduciary of the by the head of state of the Federation of States. And so I think it'd be helpful, because there's plenty of other websites out there. There's even imposter websites out there that claim that they're They may call themselves the American Assemblies, something like that. And that's super confusing. You have people come in, like my relatives are like, well, Bart, are you associated with the American Assemblies? I don't even know if that exists, but for instance, and I would say, no, we're part of TASA.americanstatenationals.org. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm asking that how do we make sure that the 1776 Union, that website you created, that everybody knows automatically that it's associated with the American State Assemblies and Anna Von Reitz and the Oklahoma Assembly and the Maine Assembly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Well, as we go through the website, I think it can answer some of those questions.
Okay,
I'm going to do that next. Tammy?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think perhaps the project could be called the 1776 Union. I'm not necessarily sure that we need to call the think tank, right? Because this is just a meeting with people coming together for the greater good of coming up with outreach initiatives. But the project itself, and my suggestion would be is if Bart, that's one of my concerns too. I wouldn't want to confuse people with this 1776 Union and how is it going to be linked with TASA? From my understanding of what you're saying, Louise, is that this is considered more of the soil jurisdiction.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so this would probably have to go on our TASA website, as a part of the soil jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be how we would be associated with it. That's just my thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I yield.
All right. So we'll come back to that as those thoughts develop. And so the next thing I'm going to go over the website overview. So as we're getting into the pre-launch phase, we're counting down. I would like to launch this in November at the latest. I mean, I wanted to launch in September, but we're not ready to launch yet. But we're just going to move into the launch phase so we can critique everything to see if it's actually ready. So going over the website, here's the website now. I did change some things. Of course, we got the home page. That hasn't changed. Woody is on standby, ready to do the voiceover on this video as soon as Anna finishes looking it over for a final check. So that's what we're waiting on with this video. And the decision is, since it's 27 minutes long, it will have to have a voiceover. I took out the page that said Mission 2028. Y'all remember what that page was? It had to have, let me see if I can find it. Mission 2028 page. Remember this page? I took this page off. One main reason is it has it's supposed to have the 50 assembly logos. We're gonna spend this time, the PKTF is gonna spend this time, September, October, November, and getting support from the assemblies because we don't have everybody's support to be able to do this particular page. We have 2 assemblies that says, yes, we can use the logo. We have 1 assembly that says, no, you can't use the logo. So we have to do some work on that one. I changed that page to this page. I just changed it to what does political status mean? I really think this was a better choice, actually, because people don't really know what political status mean. We really talk about this word a lot, but I'm sure people are saying, what is that? So I just put just one whole page with the brochures on it that they can download. I changed this page altogether because Anna has come out with some new information. Take the time to read this. I mean, read and listen to this video because this is like what the situation is now with Trump and the military. And phase 3, the first part of phase 3 was to determine if the federal partners and all the employees was going to come to the negotiating table. How are we going to try to agree on how we would release all the remedy to the people? Well, she says right here that they're not coming to the table. So phase 3 will start out with that position and see how we can strategize and do whatever we need to do to get the recognition of who we are. And so this whole page is about what she just put out this last few weeks. And I thought here with the situation update that I would use this link to add more things as things shift on the scene of how the relationship is developing and how the de facto is responding to us and letting the public know of how it's going. Then of course we got the declaration page that hasn't changed. The detailed research page. Anna had texted me or emailed me on a Thursday, I think it was. I know this is important. I'll try to get to it this weekend. Weekend came and gone. So we're still waiting for her to get back to this part 2. And I'm trying to think of what I'm going to do so that this doesn't hold us up from launching. I don't want this to hold us up from launching. So I'll have to, we still haven't gotten any further on this particular page. Section 1 was done. That's it. Section 2 on down, she hasn't looked at. I don't think she needs to look at it, but she wants to look at it, and we'll see what happens with the final decision. Okay. Then this last page here, you can see where the United States is at. That symbol is at. And this is the last page. I did learn something on this, about something on this page. This page is really the library of the truthers out there who's letting us know actually what's going on. These are the people that I went to when I was trying to figure out what was happening in 2020. One of the places I landed was this place here called Farm Match, where you can actually just, it's like a co-op or CSA, where you can order your food and then they deliver it to a certain place in the community and you just go pick up your food. But it's food like raw milk, grass-fed and grass-fed beef, goats and things like that. It's natural foods like that from the farmers themselves. I learned that this particular Farm Match, I learned it this week. It has an affiliate program. So I was thinking maybe the PKTF could maybe get an affiliate program so that they can get some monies from this to pay for this website. Now I've paid for this website, the hosting, the domain name, and all the updates I paid for out of my pocket. So I was thinking that might be a good idea to do that, to have this pay for itself in that certain way. And I wanted to put that out there in full disclosure. That's an idea that I'm going to take to the PKTF because I just learned about that. So that is this website has Anna all over it. So when they see this, they should know it has something to do with us. And so does the YouTube channel. It has all of us over it, so they should know it has something to do with us. Okay. In one of her podcasts, Anna, when you hear that video, in that video, after she finished saying what she's saying, what the situation was with the military and everything, somebody asked her, well, do we lay low or do we poke the bear? Basically is what they was asking her. And she said her response was she liked laying low and not poking the bear. And I was concerned about some of that type of response. And another person came up with another question of, do we go out there and try to get allies with different types of group people like sovereigns or patriots or somebody like that? And she was like, we have to build our assemblies first. And those responses made me wonder, okay, I have to present this project to the assemblies, and it doesn't jive with those particular positions. So I sent this email to Anna to ask her to go ahead and review the project and give me a position on it, because I don't want to be out there promoting this project and it's different than what you're promoting. So I wasn't sure if she actually looked at everything. So I do have that email out there to her to say, to ask her, look over this, please, and let me know, so that when we go to promote this project to the assemblies, we'll be all on the same page. And if you want me to pull back, let me know to pull back. We need a strategy of how we're going to do this. So that's basically what I was telling her to do. And I'll include this letter with the replay. And I just want you all to know that there was that those comments that's in some of those podcasts or in the training is actually not in sync with what I'm trying to do here with the project. Okay. All right. So the question that everybody's been wanting to know, how much will this postcard campaign cost? So I did get quotes from Postcard Mania, and I got quotes from Print Place. You don't have to use these two companies, but you can. So that's where I got the quotes from, just so we can get an idea. So I do have the quotes. I'll put it with the information so that everybody can have all the quotes from each of the companies. But I wanted to give a summary here, so you just get a basic idea of what these are going to cost. So I did a quote for 13,000 recipients. So in this quote for 13,000 recipients, there's two types of cards. There's the 4x6. You use these for direct mail. And then there's the 6 1/4 by 8 1/2 or 6 1/4 by 9. So you're going to be asking yourself as an assembly, which one of these do you want to send out? I would ask myself, which one will the person who receives it throw away first? Which one do you think they'll throw away first? That's what I'll be asking myself, to try to logistically think, how effective is this going to be? Now, I got this in the mail. This is from a court. And I read it. You know why I read it? Because it looked official to me. It looked like it was a boring old piece of paper from somebody from a court or attorney or something. So I read it, and it's like this. This is it. Just a piece of paper. This is like a 14-point paper. You get to decide, do I want 10-point paper? Do I want 14-point paper? That's what you're thinking about. Of course, this is cheaper. Okay. The other things you're going to be thinking about, I don't think you can get these in black and white, even though I wouldn't want them in black. Personally, I wouldn't want them in black and white, but that's another option you can think of to try to lower your costs. So these right here, if you go with Postcard Mania, you're looking at $6,960 for 13,000 receivers. Now, the other thing you got to think about too, on these right here, there is no name that goes there. It says local postal customer. Will a person read something that don't have their name on it? Or will they read something that has their name on it? This small one will have their name on it. This one will not have their name on it.
Why can't the larger one have their name on it?
Because it's called Every Door Direct Mail. This one will be put in everybody's mailbox that's on the route of the postal clerk or postal deliverer. It just sticks in their mailbox. Everybody's mailbox get one. So he don't have to read, he don't have to have a name. This one will have a name on it. So it will go in the particular person's mailbox. And this person will see their name on this card.
Is that the smaller one, Louise?
This is the smaller one.
May I?
Mm-hmm.
So something about advertising is it kind of the rule of thumb. If someone hears something 7 times, they're likely to pay attention to it because of repetition, right? So I think that I know it costs more money, but over time, I expect that the more postcards a particular household receives from this Oklahoma State Assembly, they're going to be like, man, I keep seeing this one. Maybe I ought to pay attention. You know, a one-off, they may throw away the first one, but after the fourth and the fifth and the sixth one they've received, they're like, okay, maybe let's go ahead and read this. I've never heard of this in my life, but there's been 6 postcards so far. Maybe I ought to go and visit this website. I think a lot of people are going to do that. That's what I would do. I'm a hard sell. I throw stuff away all the time. So that's how I would get sold. I'd be like, I've seen this several times. I should go check it out.
All right, so this one is $69.60 to do a 13,000. Not that you have to do 13,000, just giving you an idea. This one is $8,114.60. Okay. That's with Postcard Mania. That's including the postage. That's including the mailing list that has to go with this, because that's, you know, that's an extra cost to have to buy names or rent names, because they don't sell names. Rent names. So that's part of that whole $8,114. Okay.
Oh,
now
go ahead.
Oh, with Print Place, now Print Place does not do every door direct in the true sense. Every door direct, what I just described to you, where they put it in everybody's mailbox, well, Postcard Mania will mail them out for you too. They'll address it, mail it for you. Take it to the post office and do it all that for you. That's in their price, $69.60. Print Place will not. You would have to order them and have them shipped to you, and you have to bundle them up and take them to the post office. That price is $4,346.50. And that price also is with the 10-point card. Not as thick of a card. With this one, with the names and everything, $7,793.65 for them to mail this and everything. So Print Place do seem to be a little less expensive, but these are cards that are 10-point, which means they're not as heavy as the 14 points. So you got to decide, well, which one do I think would be a better expense for us to pay? You know, will we get our money's worth out of it? So those are the logistics that I would be thinking of when I'm trying to decide which postcard plan you're going to go with. As far as brochures, that's the trifold brochure, and then the tour flyers. These are their costs for those. For 13,000 brochures, if you order 13,000, it's $1,602.08 from Print Place. 5,000 brochures from Postcard Mania, because that's the minimum that you can order, is 1,422. But if you see the difference in the prices here, 5,080 pounds compared to 13,100 pounds, you see the price is about the same. So you have to decide, do I want to invest in 5,000 for this much or 13,000 for that much? And then the cost for the flyers is there too. I didn't get a quote back from Postcard Mania about how much their flyers is going to cost, but $291 for Print Place. So those are the costs that I've gathered there for the postcards, the flyers, and the trifold brochures. And I will put those quotes with the replay and everything. Yes, Tammy?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. I guess, do you have pictures of the flyers, or did you already create the flyer? I know you put up the brochure, but did you also have a flyer too? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll go over what a flyer. We did go over the flyers, but we'll go over. I did an example assembly, Illinois. I did them with all the different pieces of material, and we'll see what their flyer looked like, and then the other flyers that you could choose from. Kimberly,
these flyers.
Okay, go ahead, Tammy.
All right, and the flyers, are they flyers that you're going to be handing out and putting out, or is this they're not going to be mailed, right?
Flyers will not be mailed. Flyers will be the ones you distribute in your community to announce your public meeting.
Gotcha.
That's what the flyers are for.
Thank you. I yield.
Mm-hmm. Kimberly?
Thank you. Quickly, 2 points for you. I had sent something quite a long time ago, and honestly, it just got lost until it's coming up here. In looking at this, it looks like the postage would be going through the USPS. And I'm wondering, in jurisdiction, the USPO is supposed to be more friendly and on our side of the equation, I think. If I may need an education on this, so this is what I'm peeling apart and trying to comprehend myself. That being said, in using a stamp, would that jurisdictionally offer us anything more? And then if we were to go to 2-cent stamps and we could have bodies that would, cancel them with their gold pens, we would be able to potentially reduce the price quite a bit with that. Again, subject to potentially not having them delivered, but if you had that many go, it would certainly be something that, getting obstructed would be much more obvious than onesie twosies. With that, I would be much more interested if I saw a stamp come across and I saw that there was something gold written across it. That'd be making me go, huh, what's this? This is something different. It's something official. It's introducing them to a new way. So that's what I would offer. Maybe we have something more with that we don't know, USPO side versus USPS side. So new concepts, new things I'm coming to comprehend just for thought, maybe cost savings. On the flyers, what I would offer is shapes seem to be something that if you change the shape from what it's normally been, maybe we scroll the flyers and get a rubber band put on it that makes it something that it's a scroll, a little old fashioned, like a Declaration of Independence or something might have been passed and shared. Always looks interesting and people are like, "Ooh, what's that?" And they want it out of the basket. So just a clever way to just change the brain frame up a little bit so it's not expected and sometimes makes people take a second look and go, So just a thought with marketing. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. That's something that the Assembly would have to look into as far as the USPO about the stamps and all that, and how much that would cost you. If somebody want to find that out, or if they want to look into that, you can bring that information back and tell us what you found. All right. Phase 1, phase 2 launch overview. So let's go through this. This is the sequence of how things look and how things will happen as we launch this. So I'm going to, I'm using Illinois as a example. So when Assembly gets their package, because when I say package, we have postal area liaisons, partners, who's going to pick postal areas on the map and try to communicate with those particular states and deliver this package to them if they want it. And this is what the package will look like. So it'll have these folders here. I'm going to start with Read This First. In the Read This First folder, it's going to have the launch overview that I just had. It's also going to have the pre-launch announcement. So PKTF, B. Joe, and Kathy is putting together a pre-launch announcement that will go out to all the assemblies, introducing the project and seeing if we can get their support. And then it'll also have an introduction of myself, saying who I am and how this came to be. The next thing here is going to also have the project implementation guides in it as well. Diane? Uh-oh. Diane?
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm going back to the price on these things. Now that mailing, is it going, how we get a weekly sale paper? Is it being included in that type of flyer with the post office? Every week we get like a flyer with, what is it called? It's MS Spark is the company out. I'm in Texas. Okay. And I was looking at it for doing some postcards here in Texas in the interim until we get this thing going. And I was looking at that and I was wondering, is this what we're looking at here? Is like the post office sales flyer and it gets tucked in there?
I don't know if it gets tucked in a sales flyer or not.
Okay,
Actually, is that how they
because,
deliver it?
yeah, because, that's, I know that we get a sales flyer and it has, like, I don't know, the local grocery store, and it has different, different businesses. So that's what I was wondering, is that how they're presenting this on the EDDM?
I'm not sure how they would, if the mailman or mail person would put it's probably different for each person, unless they just got a standard of, a training standard of how they deliver the mail, which they might, I don't know. Is it
See,
the training standard to put it in a booklet or something?
Well, see, the thing is, when the postal people get that flyer from MS Spark, it has everything already in it. It's got it's like I don't want to call it a folder, but a paper, a page, and then everything gets tucked in there, and then the postal carrier loads that in their unit, in their boxes every week, and that goes out with the mail. So they don't really look at anything that's in there. See, I just don't trust the post office. They're not doing their job. And oh my gosh. And I don't know that I want them handling this postcard and looking at it and going, what? Trash it. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of thinking that if it's in this postal thing that all these other sales papers are in, they're not going to look at it. They don't care about that. They just stick it in there and they deliver it.
Then maybe the smaller postcard with the name on it might be something that's more what you would like to do.
Well, how big is that other one?
Well, it's smaller. It's a 4x6.
No, the bigger one.
6.5 by, it can be 6 1/4 by 8.5 or 6 1/4 by 9. It's like this.
Yeah, then that would still fit in that, because what they have is it's a page. It's like 8.5 by 11, but it's folded in half. I mean, it's like a little file folder, but it's paper, and all the sales flyer. Do you get those where you are, sales flyers?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So, but the thing with putting it in that, do people just trash the whole thing, or do they look at it? See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. So that's, you're not sure about that. All right.
Yeah, I don't know what their standard of delivery is like that.
Because I know that the post office will get political mailing like this, like possibly all these postcards, and then they just stick them in each slot and hopefully they deliver them. So I don't know how they're going to do that. That might be something we want to find out, is how they're presenting it.
And that's going to be hard, because I'm sure, well, if they got a standard, of course, all the postal people supposed to follow the standard training of how you're supposed to do it. So finding out that, I guess, would be good. But then you don't know what that particular postal person is going to be doing while they're out there on their route.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay. I yield.
All right. Thank you. So what's going to go out first would be the launch announcement. And then now we're going to go over all the material that's going to be in the packet to the assembly. That's what we're going over. So this next one, this is going to be the checklist of different things that you're going to need in your package, and your zip code research. Now, the liaison may do the zip code research for you, or for the assembly, or you can have some, or you can do it yourself. But this is one of the things that the postal area liaison is going to be trying to do for you. It is the zip code research, so you can pick out which zip code you're going to be sending them to. Let me see what this implementation list is. I wrote out a chart of the different things that information that you need to have as far as your mailing address for your assembly and all this, what the liaison partner will be putting down as they're putting your packet together, so they can make sure they have all the information that you will need to put together this phase 1 and phase 2. You all can use this to fill out, well, the liaison partner will fill this out while they prepare your packet, but it'll be part of your packet that you can use yourself. Anybody who don't have, who wants to do it themselves. That's what this one is for. And that'd be part of the packet too. Now, the next thing is the public service announcement. For the radio, we talked about having a public service announcement. Let me move to the next one. The public service announcement, I have do not edit, full permission to edit, limit edit to assembly info only. The public service announcement is in the do not edit. Certain things, since it has the Federation seal on it, I want to be clear to the assemblies not to change this, because this has been already approved and this has the Federation seal, so we don't want it changed. If you want to change it, then just change the whole thing and, make it your own. You can use some of the information on your own, but just brand it as your own thing. So in the do not edit, the public service announcement, now you people who are in radio and stuff, this is going to be the radio public service announcement. What I need to know, as you all are critiquing, does this say what it needs to say as a public service announcement? This is a public service announcement from your American government, the Federation of States, DBA, the United States of America Unincorporated, established in 1776. We have reclaimed our American birthright inheritance, your identity, your credit, your gold, and your land assets back from our governmental services subcontractors, the United States government, due to their 160 years of criminal impersonation. We are now in process of recovering these assets on behalf of the American people. To claim the birthright and financial assets that you are owed, contact your local American State Assembly at. Then that'll be the link. I was trying to take what's off the postcard and put it on here. And I wanted to try to be consistent in the messages that we put out. So the postcard message, be consistent with the video message that's going to be on the home page of Claim Your Inheritance. It's consistent with the postcard. And then the public service announcement will be consistent with that language too. So that's the idea. Kimberly?
I just thought that it might be an interesting approach given all the radio stuff that's coming out not right now with PKTF. Maybe you could trigger with Joe and Bobby on this and see if on a daily broadcasts they could go ahead and just make this a public service announcement that gets broadcast on the radio situation. And maybe we have something with the ham radio operators that we might be able to get some sort of just alternate levels of communication. Maybe we could have this contract that we could get read daily over the airways more than once or at least once a day. So we might have other levels of broadcast that we haven't considered. And if WKRP in Cincinnati won't do it, maybe our guys will. So just a thought on that. Maybe we've got other waves that we can take advantage of that would be likely more free to us. So thank you with that.
Thank you. That's a good idea. All right. All right. So the public service announcement. So that would go out first. Your public service announcement will go out when you get started with your postcard campaign. The next thing, I added this, people were talking about emails, doing email campaigns. Well, let me back up to one thing when you're comparing postcards to emails. The reason I chose postcards was because the main communication of our American government, the official communication, is through the mailbox. So I was thinking official government information going through the mailbox. And that's how people would take it more seriously than going into an email or through whatever. So that was my idea with the postcards, going through the post office and into your mailbox. But we do have the option, you can do an email. The first thing that I would say with the email campaign, though, is the first people to send an email blast to would be your state nationals that's already recorded on your assembly. To let them know, we let them know exactly what the postcard says. And then they need to sign up for their prosperity accounts first, if they want them. And then you start reaching out to buying a list and sending it out to that list. So that's my idea with the email template. So when you start your postcard campaign, or I should say, start your international public notice campaign, the first thing that I would say do is put out the public service announcement, send out a blast to the people that's on your state assembly first, and then send out your postcards to, whatever, whoever you want to send it, whether it's every door direct or direct mail. And that also goes in it's consistent with my thinking of you do your home first. That's your home people. All right, so let me go back to this list. So we got the international postcards. Let me show you all these. Let me see. Now you remember the postcards. This is what they look like. Oh, I didn't want to open that one. Hold on. Now every assembly will get the different types of postcards. Every door direct is only one type of postcard and one design. They don't come, I didn't make them in any different design. This is the only one for every door direct. But for the 4x6s, the direct mail, they have choices that you can choose from, because different printers happen to have different requirements of how they require that you lay out the information. So that's why I just did different ones. So depending on who you go with, you can choose which one of those. Yep, Kimberly.
Are these approved yet? I know you were going through the approval process. Are you approved, or are you still showing the mock-ups of this? Thank you, I yield.
So all the postcards themselves, that part she's approved. One other thing though, on the postcard, I added something. So I wanted her, she had approved it already, but then I added something. And the thing that I added was this part: issued by Head of State James Clinton Belcher, fiduciary in the United States of America. I added that part, and I sent it back. I asked her, is it okay for me to add this part? She haven't responded yet, but everything else was approved. So that would be part of the packet, and of course the postcards do not get changed. Okay. Part of the package, you'll have your all the list of the detailed research. For you all to have that at your disposal. You'll have the commitment declaration. Remember this? We put this together. So that will be part of your packet as well. And that's what's on the website. Remember, on the website, this right here. You can, people can download that.
May I, Louise?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I really like the title because it harkens back to our unanimous Declaration of Independence. And it's because I remember a couple of years ago, there was this Declaration of Independence 2.0, and Anna was like, we're not doing a second Declaration of Independence. The first one was just fine. And I like how the title of yours points back to that, because that's our banner that we all rally under.
Well, you're the reason why it's that title. That's what we do with criticisms.
Right.
That's why. And I think you said commitment at first too, using that word. We went through all kinds of words before we came up, landed on the same one you started with. But I think it's a good piece right now. Okay. All right. So let's go back to phases. All right. So after you do your email blast out to the nationals that's on your assembly, you're going to choose which type of international public notice you're going to do. Are you going to do, now, this is another one. People have said, well, can we have postcards to put on people's windshields and stuff? Your assembly may choose to do a community canvassing postcard campaign. You can use either one. Just order it, have it sent to your mailbox, and then you all do a canvassing campaign to put these out in your community. You can do those. Then you got your bulk email campaign that you can do. You have to buy your list and order it from whatever printing company. See how much that's going to cost you. You can do that. I haven't gotten any costs on that. I didn't look into costs for that, but if you choose to do that, that's your option. And then you can do the Every Door Direct postcard campaign, or you can do the direct mail postcard campaign. That's the four different types of campaigns you can do depending on what your assembly decides on. Now, this is Illinois example. If you were to take you back to one of the strategies of this postcard campaign, it's just easier, I guess, to call it postcard. This notice campaign is, I wanted to do the first postcard, first notice campaign in the county of the state capital and governor's office. That's the first campaign after you do your own nationals. The first campaign, I suggested to have your first campaign go to the governor's office. Why did I suggest that? The reason I strategically was thinking, because if we're going to get control of the de facto's head, the head in your state is the governor. And his physical location is in that county. So if you do a campaign in that county, and you can choose any zip code you want. For Illinois, the county for their governor is Sangamon County. That's where Springfield is. And correct me if I'm wrong. I am from Illinois, but I had to look it up. So Sangamon County has all these zip codes where they can choose any zip code they want. One that has 2,000 people, one that has 15,000 people. My objective is just to get a county assembly and a county sheriff standing in that county. And that will give, in my strategy, that gives me control over the head of their de facto. When my assembly starts to send out notices, or we need to send out a sheriff, and we need to, whatever we need to do, we have control of that particular area. So on this, that's the reason why I said do that county first. As you're developing your campaign, these two links here will go directly to the zip code, two zip code websites where it just has the zip codes there. Like for instance, for Sangamon County, when you do Every Door Direct, you have to send it to, can y'all see that? Because I see people squinting.
Yeah. Very helpful.
And I need to, you need to, for Every Door Direct, you have to pick a zip code, and you have to send the postcard to the entire population of that zip code. You can't break it up. So decide how much money you want to spend, because that's the amount of populations in those different zip codes. And think about the strategic location of those particular zip codes. How close is it to the Springfield? How close is it? What would be your traveling time for your county sheriff and things like that? That's the type of logistics you want to think about. So that's what these two links for. This is a different one, depending on which one you want to use. This one you can download to your computer. So I did that for Illinois. So in thinking of Illinois, any of those zip codes, I was thinking you could do, I don't know, you can do 13,000. You got a price of what 13,000 would be. So that gives you an idea of how much money you're looking at, depending on which zip code you go with. Now, I also put on here the different retailers that you can order from your postcards. If you want, here's the retailers on the left, the Grow Mail and all the way down to Drawing Board. These are retailers. If you want to do it yourself and you want to go to the post office and do your 2-cent stamps and things like that, you want to go directly to the post office's website and see what it would be or what it requires, because there's a process you have to go through. You have to create an online account, and you have to package your postcards up in a certain amount of numbers before you take it to the post office. So you go directly to the post office website to see how that process is if you're going to go the do-it-yourself route and not have one of these companies take it to the post office for you. Here's one other option called the wholesaler. We had someone bring this up here earlier in our think tank. The wholesaler, I found out in order to use them, you would have to have a retailer's account. So you'd have to be somebody who sells postcards to another company type thing. I don't know if anybody on your assemblies, if you got a company on your assembly that actually do that, you can use them. And this is a catalog I happened to get their catalog when I first signed up. They told me that I couldn't, they denied me their services because I wasn't a retailer account, but I was able to download their catalog. So you can go through their catalog to see how much money you could be saving if you go through them. And some of the things I noticed in the catalog aren't actually saving some of the things. And then some things are saving. So you have to weigh it all out and look at the whole picture. So that's the strategy of the postcard campaign. Go find out your state capital, where the governor's office sits, find out those zip codes that's in that county and choose one of those zip codes or a couple of zip codes, and then run your notice campaign using one of those 4 strategies. All right. That is phase 1, all of phase 1. That's for now, and this is to prepare you for phase 2. So once you run phase 1, where these people are going to land is right here on this home screen. They're going to land here. After you run phase 1, whether you're doing an email, canvassing your community, once they read that card, they're going to land here on this video. If y'all haven't seen the video yet, watch that video. It's really a good video. Anna did go through the video. Most of it's already critiqued. We just go back. When she went back, she said, I think we need to change something else. Then she had to go. So, but all the things she's added to it is very significant. So we're going to wait for her to get back to it so we can do that video, the voiceover, and it'll be ready. But think of the train, think of the funnel. Once you do your campaign, whichever one you do, this is where you're going to land. This is where the person's going to land. I need to show you the email template. That I didn't show you. I'm sorry. Let me go back. It's under limited to edit. So let me show you the email template. So this is the email template. If you do send these out to the nationals that's on your assembly, or if you rent a bulk email list, this is the email that you will be sending out. And I matched it with what was on the postcard. And your logo, your assembly logo will go, or seal will go on the postcard like this. I mean, on the email like this. This one, you get to just customize with your logo and change the Illinois Assembly to your name. And this is basically how you send it out. That's what the email looks like. Okay. Now, when you start for phase 2, let me get rid of some of these. That's phase 1. Now we're moving into phase 2. When you start phase 2, you're going to start with the public meeting flyers. And that's somebody was asking about the flyers. You're going to distribute your flyers throughout the community. However you decide you want to do it. You want to put it on the trees, or you want to put it in people's cars, or however you want to do it. Here are what the flyers look like. Well, I just did one for Illinois. Remember these flyers from the beginning? Remember these flyers? Declaring our Independence 2.0 county tours. So you're going to create your flyers You're going to customize it with your logo, depending on which flyers you choose. Here, let me move that out the way. I don't know if I can move this. Oh, you can see that the branding is down there at the bottom. You'll need a contact number. This is just a generic number right here, but you'll need a contact. It's important to have a contact number. I'll say that. So we need to look legitimately like a government. I mean, what government doesn't have a contact number? So, people are shy away from giving out numbers and things like that. So I think Illinois had mentioned that, well, they're going to have to get some type of, generic number, that's not a personal number that they can be able to use reliably to give people and somebody monitor that number. So this is the one idea for them. The name of the governor is J.B. Pritzker. I just put that there because I like it. But when you get ready to do your tour, the address of wherever your location that you're going to hold your public meeting at is going to be right here. And then your date. So the only thing that changes on this flyer would be your name, your date, and your symbol, and the contact information at the bottom. Lucas?
Yeah, right there on the bottom circle. Can you scroll down a little bit? It says Pennsylvania Assembly right there. I just caught that.
I'll change it. Wait a minute, where was it? In one of these circles?
1, 2, 3, the fourth one from the left.
This one right here.
Yep. And then I'm working on a phone number for the Illinois Assembly, and then my name does not have an E at the end. Those are just some things I saw right off the bat. So.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay.
No. Otherwise, it looks awesome. It's very good.
And what's going to happen when you get these? Oh, sorry. When you get the packet from the liaison partner, you'll say, "Oh, this is not quite right. This is right," and so you'll send it back so we can correct it and we can send it back because we want to make sure, of course, it's right. Now, but what I did learn about this particular document is made in Canvas, that Canvas software platform, and it's free. What I learned was Vicki did these. Aren't they nice? Vicki did this design. So I took this because I knew she did it in Canvas, and I uploaded the PDF to Canvas, and I was able to change the information. So if anybody on your assemblies can use Canvas, they can actually change these flyers yourselves. Your assembly can do it, and it won't be too difficult to do. Yes, Tammy? Can't hear you.
Oh, I said you just answered my question. So yes, thank you. I yield.
All right. So let me show you the other flyers because you don't remember what they were. Let me see if I can find them real quick. Tour flyers, tour. Where are they? Okay. Let me open some of them up. Remember these? These are the example flyers. Now, of course, you don't have to use our designs. We were just trying to make it easier on the assemblies. You can create your own designs, just have the same, only information that gets changed is your logo information. Remember this one? Now, this one is used for people who have pictures. They want to show their assemblies pictures. This is the one I use for Illinois.
Louise, are we still sticking with the Independence 2.0 on the flyers?
Yeah, you got a suggestion?
I don't know. It's just the same thing that I had before of people might think it's a different Declaration of Independence that we're doing.
Okay.
But I don't have a suggestion for, I'm just thinking out loud with you because, this is incredible content. I'm trying to provide you some good critique.
Okay. Now, this is how my mind works, you guys. When you all give me critiques and tell me, no, that's not right, or this would be better, or maybe all those thoughts you all throwing out there, what happens in my mind is I go to bed and all these things starts to come in my mind. Oh, we can do that with it. So I need those critiques, you guys. Okay, let me go back to the example here. Intent. September. All right. So that was just to show you all the different types of designs that we came up with. Vicki came up with, and I came up with. My designs with the people's faces that you can use. Those are done in Publisher, Microsoft Publisher. Anybody who knows Publisher will be able to take those and change them the way they want to. Okay, I'm running out of time. Okay. So that's the flyers. Now we also have the legal ad public notice for the newspaper. When you start your campaign, you want to put a public notice in the legal ads to announce that you're having a public meeting and inviting the public to. So let me tell you what that looks like. Wait a minute, no, not that. Public, international public notice. No, not that. Hold on. This is what the public notice looks like. This public notice going in your newspaper. One thing I did with the public notice, since Illinois had it in their seal, is they had established in 1818. I thought that was significant to put in there. So that helped me draft up the words in this. So if you know when you were established, that would be a good thing to know, and that would go on your public notice. And this is the ad that goes in the newspaper. Only thing gets changed on this is your seal and everything, the seal and you can put your QR code in there too.
Does the QR code lead to the Assembly's website, or does it lead to the TASA website?
It leads to the Assembly's website.
What I might do, if it's possible, for our assemblies, I may put it'll lead to our okassembly.org website, but then maybe in a different spot, I'll put one that leads to TASA. That way people will immediately make the connection that we're not just a single, I mean, because there'd be plenty of other emails and postcards and handouts and trifolds that all say the same thing as well. But it's helpful in the very beginning, because people make critical judgments when they're reading stuff. They got that little black box in the back of their head that decides, is this true or is this BS? And they'll make that decision right there and throw it away. And it doesn't matter, because we're going to remind them 7 times, right? So they'll get multiple opportunities. But at the get-go, sometimes I like to give them a little, because they're looking for little stuff. They're not ready to dive down the hole and evaluate this and give this all their time and energy. Is this really true? They're just looking for some kind of credibility. And so I would prefer to put a QR code with the okassembly.org website and then another QR code for TASA. That way they immediately have that connection that we're part, and even though we're saying it in text right there, a member of the Federation of States. I don't know. What do you think? You think that's a good idea?
I think it's a good idea. You have the 2 QR codes there. So you have everything that's related. You have the QR code for your assembly, the QR code for TASA. You got the Claim Your Inheritance website right there, and you have your seal and your link to your website. They're all connected, so they will get the picture.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, Tammy.
Oh, Tammy, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry, I have a hard time with my button tonight. So here's an idea to try to, deal with the website issue. You know how on the TASA website, when you go to the link that says, your state, and you have the option of clicking on a state, and it'll show the state. And if your state has a website, you can click on that website and it'll take you straight to the website. I'm wondering if the TASA website can put the 1776 Union's website, right?
Really good idea.
Their website that will then, take them straight to, our website, but getting it from the TASA website, so that there's no confusion of who belongs with what, and that, you know,
Yes.
there is no separation.
Really good idea.
Yep. So we can ask them about that one to see if we can get that link connected to that TASA website. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I don't know if that should go under the PKTF link. You know, I mean, that's just a thought. I yield.
Okay. All right, so you all, it's 9:41. What we want to do? We want to continue. We got this part right here left.
I would say continue, because this is the end of part 2, right, of this phase.
Yep, this is phase 2.
Yeah, let's finish phase 2.
Okay.
Okay, if that's okay, and then we'll end for tonight.
Okay. All right. So after you put out your ad in the newspaper of when your meeting's going to be, on here, what will your meeting talk about? That was the next question. Now, some people, somebody said it would be great to have PowerPoints for all to give to the assemblies of what they can use at their meetings. We didn't get PowerPoints done. So the best I could do is come up with an outline of the things that you can talk about at your meeting. So let me show you what that outline looks like. And that you can change however you see fit. So that's under full permission to edit. And this is just an idea or flow of how your meeting can go. I'm not going to read all this, but it is part of the packet, and it tells you all the different things that you can talk about at that meeting. And the things you're going to be talking about, things that you could be talking about is going over the video, the video on the home screen, digging into that, talking about what the status is as far as what the military is doing and what we're doing to make changes right now, that type of thing. So highlighting the things that we talk about in here is something that you can start off with because they've already seen this, but you can dig down into it. And then the other things you're going to talk about is on that flyer. Now, remember the flyer has an outline on it by itself to tell you the things that you can talk about. So let's take a look at it again. These 5 things right here, you can talk about. I'm not going to go over them, but this is all in the outline, and I give you ideas and points in the outline of what you can cover at your public meeting. All right. Let's go back. Where'd it go? We got so many things open. All right. Now in your packet, you're going to get that outline, but you're also going to get the video itself that's on the website. Wherever it is. Okay. I'm sorry. That one is under do not edit. So you're going to get a copy of the video itself. Now, this is a suggestion to the assemblies, which I think would be good. If every assembly can add a Claim Your Inheritance page on their website. So the link would be the illinoisassembly.com/claim your inheritance. On that page, you can put this video. And underneath the video, you can link back to the main Claim Your Inheritance website for more information. That's an idea you will have, and you have permission to do that, to put that video on your web page under a Claim Your Inheritance tab. You got the detailed research docs. I showed you that. One fell swoop list of remedies. You can change these and edit these. What that is, it was part of the Mission 2024 document that I took off the website because we need to work on getting our 50 assemblies in support before we put that back on. But on that particular list of things, these are the things that we should have had anyway. That's what the one fell swoop list is about. So I'm giving you a copy of the one fell swoop list that you can talk about to the public of these are the things that we were supposed to have anyway, and this is what our government is working on getting for you. That type of thing.
By the way, I think the correct spelling is one fell, F-E-L-L. Just wanted to point that out. Yeah. It's one fell swoop. It accomplishes a whole bunch of things in one. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It's very similar to one fell, FELL swoop.
It's FELL though, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay. All right. The last thing, call to action at the end of the public meeting. The objective is to, of course, you're going to talk about your assembly and how to join the assembly and why they need to join the assembly. One main objective is seek out a county sheriff candidate so that you can get somebody elected to that sheriff seat for that particular assembly, as that assembly is getting stood up. And the idea, further idea is, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, and I keep saying this to see if anybody have any other feedback on this. The way I understand it is that a county assembly, once it is, a county assembly can switch hats and become a state assembly in that jurisdiction because they're in the state. So if we get a county assembly standing, we can get a county assembly seated, and that same county assembly can switch hats. Of course, it has to be deliberate. I'm sure you have to do some type of paperwork or something. You can switch hats, same people, and run a seated state assembly. That's the idea.
I mean, just, off the top of my head, I can see how that would work. The same officers in the state assembly, they would have to be properly elected by all of the state nationals in the state, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if all of your, like, I don't think it would work if you had all of your four pillars fully seated and all of, a diversity of your elected officers were from different counties. I don't think it would work then. But if they happen to be all from the same county, then I think it would work then. But, this is just off the cuff. I can't see if you had a treasurer, or, you had a outreach coordinator, whoever, all these different offices. And one of them was in, Osage County in Oklahoma. Another was in Oklahoma County. I don't think that those people, maybe there's a minimum number of offices that you could do that with, but it's interesting.
The officers would have to be on that county, all of them. But those same officers, if you go through whatever the process is, can be the same officers on the state. It just can't go the other way around.
Maybe. Yeah, you probably know more about that than I do. Why would you want to do that? What's the advantage?
It's to get an assembly standing in that state.
But I mean, we're populating our international land jurisdiction first. So my question is that enough? Or are you saying that it needs to be a county assembly for it to be legit?
It doesn't need a county assembly to be a legit. The thought here is if you get a county assembly standing, which would be easier to do, I would think, because they're all in one spot, than a state assembly standing. With the
yeah, okay, I see what you're saying there. Do you know if that is in harmony with what Anna has been teaching?
Well, like I said, Anna wants to get the state standing.
Right.
And she said
the reason,
to focus on the state first.
Yeah, and I see the strategy there. So I see what you're saying, because you're saying, well, it's local. Everybody's in the same county. They're closer by. It sounds like that's what you're saying. So they might be able to mobilize faster. I think Anna's approach is twofold. One of them is that the international land jurisdiction is the jurisdiction that we land in first. So we come from the air, we correct our status into the sea, and then we go to the land. Even people that become U.S. citizens and they're naturalized, they go from the sea to the land, but we don't go to the soil. Our nation was stood up on the soil first and then the land, but we're in a different situation in 2024. So we populate first on the land, but then simultaneously after entering the land, anytime someone declares their status, they pop up on some county somewhere in the national soil jurisdiction. So Anna was saying, if everybody's coming in, this is my interpretation of what Anna is saying, that if they come in on the land jurisdiction first, then that's the first opportunity to stand up your state assembly, because if you got so many millions of people on that state, you're gonna have the numbers of American state nationals that are, that are qualified to serve as state citizens on the international land jurisdiction those numbers will grow first. And, overnight you could have 100 people, but they might be spread across your counties. You don't have enough for a county assembly. But if you have 100 people, suddenly you've got a state assembly, you've got the makings of one. They haven't done anything yet. So I think that's why practically she was saying we populate the international land first. The other reason is that the Federation of States, they are standing up and saying, we are speaking on behalf of the state assemblies in the international land jurisdiction. So it's imperative that the state assemblies be fully seated in their 4 pillars in the international land jurisdiction to back up the Federation, because the Federation gets some of their legitimacy. In the very beginning, they're like, well, all the state assemblies are at least in general session. So therefore, we are lawfully speaking on behalf of them. Because if we had half of our state assemblies and they weren't even in session yet, like we didn't have at least 2 state nationals on every international land jurisdiction of each state, then the Federation wouldn't be able to make that claim. And so I think that's why, that's my theory. That's my theory as to why she's saying stand up your state assembly first, because that gives them, I mean, we're already in general session, so that's enough, right? Because James Clinton Belshare summoned us, and so here we are. But we're all in general assembly, and so anyway, I yield. But I'm still thinking about what you said, Louise, about which is the better way to go. But I think that Anna's pretty consistent message that we stand up the state assemblies first. I yield.
Now, okay, so hear this strategy here, because I'm saying stand up the county and flip hats and stand up the state. I did not say stand up the county first necessarily. I'm saying stand them up both at the same time. With all the effort you're putting out, you can do them both at the same time.
Sure, you can. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the idea.
Oh, sure. And, I'm real careful about anytime I tell someone something, I always say, hey, if you hear Anna say something different, defer to her. So I have my own, harebrained theories, about different ideas of way things work, but I'm always checking back to say, did Anna say that, or is this in competition with what she's saying, or is it in harmony? Does it fit inside of the message? Because I know that whatever I say to people, it holds more clout if it's in harmony with what Anna is saying, because people's BS meters are on high alert these days, especially when they come home to the land. They're looking for people to lie to them because they've just found out they've been lied to for 160 years. So they look at me like, are you telling the truth, Bart? Because I'm going to find out, So I usually like to make sure that I've got all my ducks in a row and that, there's no question,
Thank you, Bart. Tammy?
Yeah, I was going to say that I think what Anna had said is that when people start coming back home to the land, inadvertently, they're actually populating their counties. But I think, Louise, the point that I think you were trying to make is that our sheriffs are positions that are on our counties. And so if you're looking to fill those positions, it has to come from your county assembly, correct?
Yeah.
That's true. I've thought about that too. If you only have a state assembly, you still don't have a sheriff. Am I right?
Yeah. But I also think that I heard Joe say that it's important to get your marshal at arms, because they're the ones that are securing the safety of the assembly. I'm not sure if they have any enforcement, authority, and it is important that we do get our counties up so we can get those sheriffs. But a good question for Anna would be, if our county's assemblies aren't assembled yet and we don't have county coordinators, can we still try to elect a county sheriff?
I'm not sure that's possible. I'm not, if you don't, I mean, what do you think, Louise?
Well, we have county sheriffs on our assembly. The counties aren't standing. I don't know how much power they have, but I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
That would be a good question.
So I don't see this as contradictory to what Anna is saying, but it is another layer and a twist to what she's saying. And it's like a strategy is what I'm going for. if you're gonna be standing them up, how do you go about standing them up? In my mind, it would be best to, if the counties can switch hats and be the state, and we can get control over their head person, which is the governor, then I would think it's strategically better to stand up the county that's where that governor sits, so that when our assembly starts to move, they will have more authority to actually rein in the whole state as opposed to one little county at a time. But that's the strategy idea.
I like it. Here's another thought I've noticed. I've been starting to realize the power of the General Assembly in particular, because whenever it's fully seated, and then you can elect a sheriff, and then he can appoint and hire a bunch of deputies, then you actually have teeth. And not that we want to use the teeth. Like once I get to that stage, I'm thinking, aha, then we got a sheriff, we can enforce things. But that's kind of messy. Like if somebody's not paying attention, like if there's a judge or an attorney or somebody who really doesn't want to get on board with America and they want to continue to ignore people's perfect rights, that's really going to be bad for them. Because of course, there's one side of my mind that's vengeful. I'm like, I'm going to get that sheriff and I'm going to arrest that guy. But we really don't want to get there, But it's kind of like Theodore Roosevelt. And I know the background of Theodore Roosevelt, but nonetheless, he did say, speak softly and carry a big stick. And I've always, that's something that we all know about. And it's an effective, of course, it was a policy, or it was international policy that he was talking about. But the concept is that the sheriff is your big stick. And so you could walk around as American State National, especially as our state assembly. And once we have a sheriff who can actually enforce our rights, then you have control. And control meaning not over state nationals, more control over our employees, because they won't listen to us if they're the ones with the badges and the guns. And that may be a incredibly pragmatic view on my part, but that's the way I've looked at it so far, is that they don't respect us if we can't enforce our perfect rights. But once we do have a sheriff, I think we will be surprised at how fast our perfect rights will be respected, And so that's why I love your idea of zeroing in on that, the most efficient way to get that sheriff on the land jurisdiction, to get him elected. However we go about doing that, I think that's top notch. I think it should happen immediately, because then that also makes it astronomically more attractive for the assembly. Like if we're a fully seated assembly, but we don't have a sheriff, there's a lot of patriotic people. They're going to look at us and they're like, do you have a sheriff? That's what they ask, When we say, yes, we have a sheriff, they're like, oh, okay. I'm going to learn more about this, I yield.
Kimberly?
I just wanted to add that I think that there may be another, when I say this, I don't mean this with actual anything unpeaceful, but as they use in the terms of secret weapon, we have to remember that we also have a coroner, and the coroner actually has an enormous amount of power, and actually can cross county lines, and help in those situations that are neighboring or adjacent counties from what I believe I'm comprehending. So I could be wrong on that, and it certainly would need to be verified by somebody that had more knowledge than I. But I would offer that if we were not in certain areas capable or successful in maybe the attention or the role of a sheriff, you may have something in a quieter, a little more behind the scenes sort of capacity, and coroners that we may be able to have an alternate plan than having to just have sheriffs. If we can't get that filled, maybe we've got coroners that we could actually move to position at that point too. So just wanted to remind that that's a very, very powerful position, and it could bring characters out that just don't want the limelight of sheriff as much, but give us a little more behind the scenes options. So just wanted to share, since we can go over county lines with that may end up being a helpful thing. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Kimberly. So this last part, just to recap and go to a closing here. The call at that public meeting, you're going to get that county sheriff, or seek for a county sheriff, because you got to talk about that. But you want to leave the people with the brochures, have those trifolds printed out so they can take them home. Have them go to the commitment declaration, sign their John Hancock on the website. You're You're going to, of course, get their 1779 and declarations witnessed. You're going to show them and walk them through how to get their prosperity accounts. And that's it. Then what you're going to do next after you have your first public meeting, you're going to rinse and repeat per county. Choose any other county after that. Just the first one is where the governor sits.
Awesome. Does anybody have questions for everything that's been covered in this project so far? Go ahead, Kimberly.
Go ahead, Kimberly.
I might suggest that if you are doing a campaign with as your first zip code being where your state capital is, to make sure that you were to hit the government, maybe we go ahead and do a parallel campaign with trying to do every library on the state, that they're given a public service announcement that they actually are required to post somehow. I don't know how we can enforce a requirement, but language that could indicate such. Again, let he who will be deceived. So if they go ahead and think it's official and put it up thinking it's official, great, let's go ahead and do that. So, but I think if we were able to have a simultaneous that, we let your government know and we're letting the public know simultaneously, maybe a library campaign could be a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Bart?
Yes. One of them, first question. Is there a website that when are you going to give us this package? I guess that's the general question.
So we have, I'm going to be the partner for, I think it's postal area 2, or let me see what it is. We only have, we need volunteers for the postal areas. So that you all can contact those people, those assemblies in your postal areas, and see if they need your assistance to get those together. But other than that, when we send out our pre-launch, the PKTF is going to put a post on their website, and I'm asking Bart, Vicky, and Tammy if they can upload to icedrive this packet right here of information, so that anybody can go there and download the information for their assemblies. If they didn't need any help from us, they want to do it themselves. That'll be the other option too.
Okay, so when you say package, is that everything that we've looked at that you've showed us so far? We could go on through it on our own and remind ourselves what, take notes, that kind of a thing?
Correct.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Second question is a comment about poking the bear. So that's been something that's been on my mind for quite a while. Because a lot of state nationals, because they don't have a sheriff backing them up, they don't want to become some kind of a logistical martyr. I say logistical because I don't believe that we're in horrible danger, right? But I think we're in danger, a lot of us are, for having our lives being inconvenienced. And some American state nationals can take that. They're ready to go. They're ready to make a fuss and to see how far they can push the envelope. I know some of these people, they're great. And then there's a lot of others that do not like the conflict. And I understand that. And so they don't want to poke the bear. And so they want to know, what are we doing here? And the question behind the question for them is, are we poking the bear here, or are we doing what can we expect is going to happen after we do this, right? And so that they're going to gauge their responsiveness to this kind of campaign based on what they expect the fallout could be, or not fallout, because that sounds kind of messy, but just the response, like how is it going to be received? And so I wanted to make this comment here, that when you send notices, and this is what I've been telling people, because they get frustrated whenever they send off a notice and it's ignored. And they think that they have this expectation. I do too. I did, at least, that when I send off a notice, someone says, well, why should I do that? Whatever the notice is, right? Because I'm being careful when I send out a notice. It's a lawful notice. I do have a perfect right. I'm not just making stuff up. And I have very little patience for that, because when I say that's the way that it is, especially when I'm talking about my perfect rights that are inside of my estate, inside of my county that overstands all other counties and the whole world, when I say something is the way that it is, that's the way that it is, because it's my estate. And I set the law. I'm learning this from the Sovereign's Way. I set the law for my estate. So whenever I send a notice, I'm a sovereign king telling the other guy, you should take notice because you're acting unlawfully here. Now, of course, I write my notices very politely and I don't accuse them of crimes. I say, hey, is your intention to commit a trespass against me by way of personage? You know, I'm friendly. But the thing about the function of a notice is that you're preparing for court. That's really it, because you're trying to, if you're going to honor, you're doing two things. You're removing controversy and providing remedy. But you're doing that all the way to court. You know, and there's this scripture, I can't remember the definite scripture, but it says it would be best for you to settle the matter in the private with your adversary before court. Otherwise, if he takes you to court, he's going to take you for everything you have. And that's what we're trying to do as Americans. Nobody wants to go to court. And in fact, I believe it's called tax fraud if you settle something in court that could otherwise have been settled in the private. So you're not supposed to use the court for, you know, little pithy things that you could have settled in the private. So that's why we have this process, and it begins with notice writing. And then you've established a paper trail of going to honor, removing controversy. And then eventually it gets to the what is it, the arbitration courts, before it gets to court, it gets there and they get another opportunity to settle the matter in the private, right? To maybe a budsman is another version of that, right? It seems a little more informal, but then eventually you get to court, but hopefully you never do, because if you're good at writing your notices and telling them, listen, the law is on my side, I am in the right, I'm going to get what I want because you've infringed on my estate, you've infringed on my perfect right, and I have the right to compel. And that's the way this is going to go. But if you're friendly about it, then they're going to read your letters, right? And all that. So the point of a notice is not necessarily, I no longer have these expectations that people are just going to, my government employees are going to come to heel and they're going to listen to my notice. I expect that they're just like anybody else and their BS meter is, you know, kind of on high and they're like, what is this? I've never heard this before. And, you know, for their part, maybe they haven't. But the point is, whenever we're sending out these notices, they're not solicitations. I really like that. They're not solicitations. They're lawful, approved notices from your American government. I really like that. But I think the expectation going forward is that what we're doing is we're giving them lawful notice. We're telling them what we're doing. But the expectation is, especially whatever notices that we write, the state assembly starts taking this on their own and we start making our own notices in parallel with all the material that you put together. As long as we're friendly and as long as we're telling them this is the way that it is, we're just giving them notice, and they may ignore them, you know, or they may start to pay attention. But the idea is that we're not looking for enforcement immediately. Of course, we can't. We have no method of enforcing unless we have a sheriff. So what I tell people to do, especially when dealing with the IRS or anybody else who wants to infringe on your right under color of law, I say, listen, you don't have a jural assembly right now. You don't have a sheriff and his deputies to enforce your perfect rights. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue to prepare for court, because one day, if you really want to get remedy, you're not going to get it out of the maritime courts. You're going to get it out of your common law court of record, which who's going to hold that court of record? It's going to be you. You're the American State National. You're the sovereign tribunal who's bringing an action at law in a common law court of record. It's your court. So you need to prepare for that. And it doesn't matter if the jural assembly's there yet. They will be in a couple of years. So just continue writing your notices. Be friendly about them. And you need to make out a really long paper trail of you being an honor or removing controversy and providing remedy, so that whenever you do get to your court of record, which hopefully you'll never get there, but when you do, it'll be a slam dunk. You'll be able to enforce your right. You'll have all this evidence that you went to honor. And I think that as an assembly, this is my point, as an assembly, I think we should take the same approach. And I think I think that'll remove any fears that people have of poking the bear. And by the way, this is my suggestion because it's really born out of my own experience. And it's more of a question. I'm wondering, is this applicable? You write a bunch of notices and you don't really have an expectation that they're immediately going to come to heel. Of course, if they do, that's awesome. But if they don't, you're just establishing, the assembly, the state assembly is establishing notices in a long paper trail of going to honor. And you just keep hitting them over and over. I mean, the American State Nationals out there, they're going to be easy to talk to, right? Because they want to claim their status, right? They want to claim their inheritance. But the state government, I'm not sure they're going to be so quick to get on board. And so so as long as we're sending notices, I don't think that we're poking the bear, right? We're not threatening to enforce. Of course, we can't. We don't have a general assembly or a sheriff, except Ohio. They've got it, but we don't yet. And so Oklahoma doesn't yet. And so that's my approach is you can do a lot because you're really, the whole objective here is you're going to honor, you're removing controversy and providing remedy. And you're doing that with your state employees. And if you write your notices very friendly, and I think, by the way, all of your information there, Louise, is awesome. And I think it's professional. I think it's succinct. I think it's assertive, as it should be, but I think it's also polite. And I don't think it's poking the bear. And I think if we leave it right there, then I don't think we're poking the bear. But those are my thoughts. I yield.
Thank you, Bart. I'm poking the bear. I'm sorry. I'm going to poke the bear.
Okay.
We're going to go, phase 3 is going to be poking the bear.
Okay.
And I know Anna said don't poke the bear, so I got to get an answer from my email because I know I'm poking the bear. So.
Well, at least you know what you're doing.
See, but my approach and my strategy is I'm not poking the bear by my own self. Your one little assembly is not going to be the one that's poking the bear. I want the Federation of 50 states to poke the bear together.
Mm-hmm.
That's the idea in phase 3. I know we've been one assembly here, one national there. My strategy is get us all together and poke the bear together. That's the idea. Kimberly?
Yeah.
I would remind that poking the bear doesn't even have to be aggressive. Sometimes you just poke the bear because they're snoring and you need to wake them up. And it's a gentle, loving, hey, did you know? So it doesn't have to have any bad connotation to it. We can make it up however we want to, tilt it and put the frequency to it. So for me, I've been poking the bear and trying to do it as lovingly as possible about, hey, so, I think we can just, we can intend it the way we need to intend it. And if it's, a big poke or an elbow, then it's a big poke and an elbow. And if it's a little poke and a, hey, shh, you're snoring, wake up, it's a different thing. So again, it's all going to be how we intend it and how we approach it. So thank you. And great job, Louise. Just thank you for all this. You're really just knocking it out of the park. Thank you.
I agree.
Well, hold on a
Go ahead.
second,
Go
guys.
ahead.
I just want to make sure that we are way over, our time. And so I want to make sure that, Louise says everything that she has, and we try to wrap this up for tonight. Okay.
Yes, Tammy, thank you. So on that note, we was on the poking the bear part. I want everybody to listen to this video when you get a chance and come up with the next meetings we're going to be having. We're going to be moving to phase 3. Based on what Anna says in this video, y'all think of how y'all want to poke the bear, because this is a very powerful video right here. And with that, that's all I have. Now, I'm expecting to get emails of critiques, comments, suggestions that we wasn't able to go over tonight. And we are in the pre-launch phase. So the next November is right around the corner. I don't know if I can get Anna to, give us any attention over here. So we just gotta see what happens. But these next 30 days to 60 days, we're going to be trying to move from pre-launch to launch by November. And I say November because that's going to be the corporate elections and it's going to be really intense. So I want to be in the faces of these people whenever what goes down, because they're going to be looking for alternatives.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I agree. And I agree with what Bart said about as far as poking the bear, but doing it lawfully by the notices, I think is a great idea. And I also think once we're ready as an assembly to get to that phase 3 part, I think we'll know when we're ready and we'll be able to implement that together. I think the unity is really important. All right, so before we go ahead and adjourn the meeting, I just want to remind everybody that we're going to schedule our next meeting for Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. Okay, so that's almost about a month from now. Okay, so 4 weeks from now, October 9th. And I will send the recording out for this in the next day or two. And I will include the links for the icedrive account. Okay. All right, guys. Louise, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody for coming tonight. And Vicky, you did a great job with those flyers and all that Canva work. I think we'll also just keep in mind that next month we're going to have Marshall David from California talking to us also about the town hall call. Okay. And so anyway, have a great night, guys. I'm sure I'll see you
Before
tomorrow
everybody
night.
goes, Tammy, if I may, this is Cheryl.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Cheryl.
Sorry, I had a visit from my child, so I haven't been listening as well as I would have liked to, so I'll have to hit the recording. But I wanted to put it out there to this group. I don't know what states are on the call tonight, but I wanted to put out again, and I'll put it on Telegram, that Virginia is having a public meeting right on the border of North Carolina and Virginia on October 20th. We will be there from 10 till probably 8 p.m. at an American Legion Hall in Gretna, Virginia. I'll send out the info. There was a little bit of interest from North Carolina and possibly even New Jersey. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It would be so fun if some people from other states would come. And with that, I yield.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheryl, for putting that out there. I would also, I don't know if you did this already, but put it on the outreach Telegram page. And if you put it on the Telegram page, I can copy it and then paste it when I send this recording out so the people will also get it.
Oh, sweet. Okay, yeah, we're working on the flyer now. I think we'll have it fine-tuned by tomorrow.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you next time.
See you
Thank
next
you,
time.
Tammy.
Have a
Thanks,
good
everybody.
Thank you. Good
Good
night.
night.
Thanks, everybody.
Night.
Night.